Yeah.
What's up with it?
Y'all already know what time it is.
We in
It's
there.
Tuesday.
Go and get your dance in real quick. Shake it all off.
You with
Listen,
your dad.
And
I
we
don't
in
know
there.
what kind of dance that is that Benji does, but he definitely likes it.
He
He
loves it. Like
that's his
because that's
dance.
That's all you get is a little two-step from me. You ain't getting no twerking, no booty shaking, no none of that. All you get is a little two-step and a
I
little.
would hope that you wouldn't be twerking, sir. I would
Yeah,
hope.
nah.
that's the
I just
biggest.
want
That's the
because you
biggest.
got to understand, man. It's been crucial. I done had studs hit on me,
Wow.
and now I done had old white guys hit on me. I think I'm
Oh,
retreating
wow.
from Earth.
Wait a minute. Wait, wait, wait,
You,
wait, wait.
you
You
had a
had an
gay man hit
old
on you.
white guy hit on you. Dog. You gotta talk about that for a second. Tell us about that.
All right.
It's demoralizing, but listen, all right. As
The
y'all know, I
drama.
was, chilling with my boo, you know what I'm saying? Going to grocery shopping, that little couple thing where y'all go shopping, pick up groceries, all that type of
Longest
stuff.
to go.
So I left something in the ride. So like, all right, let me run back, go get it, come back. As soon as I come back up, you know what I'm saying? We kind of lock arms, I'm into the, public, what they call it,
PDA.
PDA or whatever you
Yeah.
call it, public display of affection. I don't know all the lingo. Whatever. So, we lock arms, we walking in the little store, it's a little cold, a little nippy. And I promise you, it was the most off guard thing ever. It was like, you better lock him up. Somebody will. And we stopped and was like, what the hell? Like, hold on, what? And
It's
it
the
kind of
opposite.
threw us both off like super, super, super wild. And so we turn around and man, it's this pot belly dude with his little white shirt on, with his, chest all hanging out and going on. And man, I promise you, we both at the time just started singing, He's Sweet, I Know. And it was terrible, dog. It was like,
That
I don't know what's going on in California. We got rain every day of the week. We got
Dang.
I don't know,
I don't think
man.
it has
I
anything
think
to
I
do with
just
that.
need to go in hiding for a while and
boy had
just leave Earth alone for a minute, man.
that,
It was depressing, bro. It was depressing.
that man had
So
on
I'm
a
hurting right now, Ken.
that,
And
that
Patricia come on messing with me, so I'm
I
hurting right
came
now.
on messing with you. Wait a minute.
that man had on a
No, you
blouse. Benji got
no,
hit
you
on
did not
by
say.
a dude with a blouse.
No, you did not say I came on messing with you.
I mean,
As soon as I log in, what's the first thing that happens?
I don't remember my memory. I can't remember
I'm
anything you
sure.
said.
I'm
I
sure
can't
you're
remember.
short of memory right now.
I'm short of
Mm-hmm.
memory right now. I can't remember. So
Mm-mm.
I
Mm.
apologize for that.
Mm.
I can't remember what I said. I don't know.
Well, that's why
Well,
you got the stems or studs and the gays hitting on you. You about to have that whole LGBTQ and
Listen,
plus community fooling with you in a minute. I
uh
mean,
oh. Uh oh.
luckily my lady was there because she was like, do I need to fight somebody? She be throwing hands, y'all. I'm just saying, like,
Yikes.
you know what I'm saying? It made me kind of stick my chest out a little bit. You know what
better
I'm saying?
stop
I'm
getting
like,
out
I
these
don't get
signals.
your bad self, girl. We about to jump somebody.
You better stop winking at them when you walk by.
Wow.
Winking, winking. What the hell? Nah, we ain't get nah. See, the problem is from a Plutotarian standpoint, I'm just fine. I mean, I can't help it. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
In the words of Wendy Williams, how you doing?
In the words of
Wendy,
Blueface,
not Wendy
yeah.
Williams.
In the words of
All right.
Blueface, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
y'all already know why y'all tuned in tonight. We always have some dope interviews or some dope topics that we want to talk about. This week is no different. This week we wanted to talk about
No
the
doubt.
importance of HBCUs. Some people they hear about them, especially since the Dion thing blew up. When the
Mm-hmm.
Dion thing blew up, like people who had never talked about HBCUs before were talking about them, and a lot of the information that they had or that they thought they knew was incorrect, not accurate. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that kind of sparked a different, view of HBCUs, whether it be positive or negative. but we wanted to actually make sure that people had good information, accurate information about HBCUs. So as you move forward, as you run into kids, as you have these discussions, that you have, the accurate information to make sure the discussion goes according to plan.
Right.
Because we don't need, any detractors out there for our HBCUs, because we definitely need the kids to understand that these are, very valuable options. We want
Right.
to make sure that they understand that these institutions are important to our continuance of our elevation in this society. So we want to make sure the view is positive at all
Mm-hmm.
points, right?
Yeah.
So,
Because
but
we're in the controversy sales, so everybody's looking for some type of drama. But listen, man, this it's more positives out there than it is negatives. But you know how folks like to push the negative narrative. So
yeah, yeah,
Or
like I said, the negative, the drama is sexy, but we ain't about that drama tonight. You know what I'm saying? We
mhm.
mm-mm.
we we trying to get the information
Trying
out
to
there.
get your
So,
mind right tonight. Give you
yup.
some good information.
So I
We
had to
in the
go.
Black History Month with a bang.
Yeah, we ended Black History Month with a bang, and I had to go and grab somebody with great energy that I know personally that could come and speak to us about HBCUs, college prep, like getting these students ready to transition to these schools, because I think that's important too, and I think that's an important piece that's missing, because a lot of kids make decisions about what schools they're going to without having all the information that they need. So when they
Right.
get to these places that they've chosen, or their parents have chosen for them, they're not happy,
Right.
because they didn't have all the information. So we want to make sure that they're having an informed decision, because listen, going to college is a very very expensive trek, right? So you
Yes.
don't you don't want to go somewhere and make all these preparations to get somewhere, only to get there and find out that it's not what you thought it was going to be. So you want to make sure you do all of your information, and information gathering and visits, and because we live in an information age. So there's there's so many ways for you to get this information. You need to get all of it before you make a decision of where you're going to spend the next 4 years.
Facts. And you got a lot of options out there too.
Yeah, got a lot of options. So yeah, so we definitely have a special guest, Miss Tayler Henley of Paul Quinn College. She has trekked from being an actual student to now she's part of the administration. So she has a holistic view of how the school works from beginning to end. So I wanted her to come on and share the different steps that she went through, but also be able to give you information as as the viewers, and as parents out there who have kids that are looking to trek that way, or some of you may be looking to go back to school. And these are very viable options for adults as well. You ain't got to go back and join no organization. But some of you all may, that may be your motivation to go back. You always wanted to, what I'm saying, to stomp the yard. If that's your motivation,
Mhm.
I don't know, that may be a viable option for you.
Now, if you old, do not be trying to join the cheer squad, okay? I'm trying to
Hey,
pull no muscles and going on.
hey,
If you old and busting flips, why they can't do it?
I mean, everybody can't be like me at 44 years
Don't
old. You
hey,
can't.
don't shortchange them.
don't
I
shortchange
mean,
them.
if you can do a backflip, I mean, go and do it, but you can't be like Ken pulling up off the curl and then tearing Achilles. You know what I'm saying? You got to be
Hey,
like me, where you can do a backflip and it don't affect you. No ankle problems, no knee
it
problems,
has
none
nothing to do with age and injury and
of
all
that.
that stuff, because Klay Thompson pulled up off the curl and he tore his Achilles. Kevin
Very
Durant
true.
pulled up off the curl, he tore his Achilles. You know what I'm
So y'all just
saying?
need to stop doing that.
Kobe Bryant pulled up off the curl, tore his Achilles. So
But
that
it's
has
just a
nothing to do with.
blessing when you don't have that on your track record. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a blessing to be a different height too, but hey, tomato tomato.
It
Tomato
is.
tomato.
It is.
Everybody can't be 6'5", you know what I'm saying? So
That's
I
very
take that
true.
I
That's
take
very
that
true.
blessing. I take that blessing and
Right.
keep on moving. But anyway, y'all, we're gonna get we gonna get rolling with our guest. She, like I said, she's an amazing young lady. I was able to, when I was on the administration at the school, she became a student there. She was a presidential scholar, which means when she came in, like she was, on the high level. She was fully scholarshiped. She was
Doing
one
her
of those
thing.
students that was blessed, but she was also very intelligent. And because I was part of the administration that heard about these students before we were able to even see them. Like I heard all this, Tayler Henley, Tayler Henley, Tayler Henley. I'm like, who is Tayler Henley, right? So when she actually came and I actually had a chance to have a conversation with her, I'm like, okay, she legit. Like she on her stuff at a very early age. Very
Right.
early age. So, like I said, she's had the whole view, so we wanted to bring her on. We're not gonna hold it up. We know the audience is like, where's
Yeah,
Taylor
wait.
at? So we're gonna bring her on, Miss Tayler
Taylor,
Henley.
Bring her out. Bring her out.
bring her out.
Yeah.
I
Hello.
already got to mess with her backstage, so we know her energy is off the chart. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Boston. I was not expecting that kind of introduction. You went all the way back to presidential scholar and everything. Lord, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. Like she was legit. Like, and it's a lot of students that come into, that come into school. And like I said, for me, because that was my first, trek in, college administration, and that was my first time being in the know of students that they were bringing in, and vetting students and looking at applications and all that stuff. And I'm like, some of these students, they checked all the boxes, but like some of these students check a few of the boxes. But like Taylor was one of the few students that checked every box, and she was amazing and still is amazing to this day. So that's why we wanted to have her on. So
All right now, Taylor, girl.
Tayler
I hope I
Henley.
can live up to all of this because, Lord, my goodness, the pressure.
Okay, so Taylor, we like to start out the show by letting everybody get an opportunity to know our guests. So we'll allow you to let the audience know who you are, what I'm saying, what set you claim, or whatever you want to let them know before we get
On
going.
the W's or what?
CQC to the death of me, period. But
What? All right.
but no, so my name is Tayler Henley, as everyone has stated and seen all over every advertisement for this episode. So I actually am a fourth generation HBCU alumna on my father's side and a third generation HBCU alumna on my mother's side. So HBCUs are very, very important to me. I knew that I wanted to study business, and I knew that I was attending an HBCU for undergrad. That was where I was. That was how it was going. And my parents knew that from the very beginning. Of course, when it comes to, really figuring out which HBCU was for me, I knew that I needed a smaller environment. So, I have a parental unit that was a crosstown classic love because they went to Dillard University and Xavier University of Louisiana. So at the end of the day, those are two large HBCUs. And I knew me going back home and being in New Orleans for 4 years probably was going to get me into a little bit of a trouble. So I was like, you know what? Educationally, got to make the best decision so I don't wind up dropping out. So I actually honestly was here in Dallas. We were living here in Dallas because of my dad's job. And I didn't want to leave Dallas, but at the same time, I wanted to attend an HBCU. And as we know, Paul Quinn College is the only HBCU in the DFW Metroplex, as well as we are the oldest HBCU in the state of Texas and west of the Mississippi River. So I was like, I got a little history there at the end of the day.
Okay. Represent.
Okay. I was like, all right, so let me do my research. Well, also, on the other side of that, my father actually met President Sorrell at an event. Don't ask me what event because I couldn't even tell you. But all I know is 3 months later, I was sitting in President Sorrell's office with my whole family, and he was interviewing me for the presidential scholarship that he was speaking about. So it was one of those things where, Paul Quinn really truly kind of found me in a way, just because my dad did meet President Sorrell and their fraternity brothers. And at the end of the day, you know, it was one of those things that kind of everything fell into place. And it was a place that was almost a safe haven just with the things that were going on in my life as I prepared to go into the 4-year journey. So it was one of those things where I really was happy and excited about it, but I was also a little bit scared. But the environment that was created at Paul Quinn was something that I ultimately had success at success in, excuse me, my matriculation journey, just due to the simple fact that, you know, I had the support and I had the caring and the nurturing environment that an HBCU provides.
What would you say was the leading or deciding factor in going to just deciding on the HBU? Was it strictly your parents, or what was the deciding factor that made you say, all right, I'm going to Paul Quinn?
So in my immediate family, like that's like my like first, second cousin group, there are 24 HBCU graduates. All I knew was HBCUs. So like for us, Thanksgiving, it was an argument between my great aunt and my grandmother, and my mama and my Aunt Hazel would go back and forth at Southern or Grambling being better because they were graduates of those institutions. So it was one of those things where it was a culture that I just knew of. You know, it was a culture that I saw. You know, I saw my cousins go to Xavier. You know, I saw my cousins go to Dillard. I saw my cousins go to Clark Atlanta and Tuskegee and everything else. So it was one of those things where I had all of these different people in my life that were attending HBCUs, and I was seeing them be successful. And it's like, okay, that's the blueprint. Like, we can go there. So it was one of those things where that was where it was a HBCU or nothing for undergrad. And so it really just honestly came from family. You know, you kind of watch the people around you, especially, you know, you're like, oh, that's my big cousin. You want to be like your big cousins when you were a kid, and seeing them attend HBCUs was one of those things that was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to an HBCU. You know, like I said, HBCUs all through my family. I mean, aunties, uncles, cousins, everybody went to an HBCU. And so it was just one of those things that I watched the culture growing up. And then when I finally made it to that point in my life, when I knew that I needed a different type of environment than the regular, you know, 4-year matriculation environment, where I was just a number versus being, you know, 103, 184. Yes, that's my ID number. I still remember it. But at the end of the day, like, I was Tayler Henley, you know, and I was known as an individual and as a person versus just known by my ID number. So that's really how I made it to HBCUs, because it was just that or nothing, period.
I love it.
That's dope. I like that.
I think that's huge too.
That history, that heritage, that's important.
Right.
That's huge. That's huge too, because I fall in the same category of, you know, on both sides of my family. That's why I was explaining to some folks early on the pre-show. That's why I have on a Prairie View A&M hat, and I got a Paul Quinn College shirt on. Right. I dug in my throwbacks to pull this Paul Quinn College Student Affairs shirt out from like 2007. Right. But for me, on both sides of my family, as Taylor stated, you know, with her family, we have decades of graduates from both schools in my family. So, you know, when I came out of high school, it was automatically, yeah, I'm going to Prairie View for me, you know, at that time playing sports and things of that nature. So I wanted to go to Prairie View, and I spent my first 2 years there. Life took some twists and turns, brought me back home to Dallas, but I was able to say, you know what, there's an HBCU here too. So I'm gonna, you know, as part of my family trek from Waco to Dallas. So it was just, you know, a natural progression. Yeah, for me to go to Paul Quinn. And you know, when I went to Paul Quinn, when I first started back here as an older student, because I worked and had family and all this stuff, when I came to Paul Quinn, one of the first persons I met on campus who was part of the board of trustees was Michael Sorrell, right? So Taylor can tell you he is the current president of Paul Quinn College. He's a different guy now than he was when he was younger.
Different how? Hold
on. Let me explain. Okay, when I first met him, he was a younger guy. He was coming out of corporate America. Great connections, great business ideas. but a very hard and direct individual. So when I met him, he wasn't even working at the school. He was part of the board of trustees, and he used to come to our class as a mentor. So he came to our class as a mentor. He will make you stand up. What's your name? What do you plan on doing? And when you're doing that, he's critiquing you as you're doing your spiel. And if you don't do your spiel right, no matter who you are, he's going to make you repeat yourself and do it right until you got it down. And this is a guy who doesn't know you from Adam. It's like, this is your first time meeting him, and he's this hard. So when he did that during that class, after the class, he came to me and he said, you know what? I see something different in you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to mentor you. I didn't ask him to mentor me. He just took it upon himself to do it. But I'm glad that he saw something different in me, because over the next few years that I attended Paul Quinn, he pushed me, you know, and the last year that I was there was the first year that he actually became the president of the school. So here I am thinking, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Like, my mentor is going to be the president of the school. Man, listen, I was the Student Government Association president. And that's a very high, you know what I'm saying, a high level position for a student, the highest level position for a student on a college campus, right? A lot is expected of you, period.
Right.
So he took me from the guy who was just a dad working every day to returning to school, trying to fly under the radar, just trying to get a college degree so I can get out of there. And he forced me to the greatness that I was able to achieve, right? So I went from that guy just trying to fly by, wearing FUBU tracksuits and everything to his class every day, to wearing a shirt and tie, slacks every day, dressed up. You know what I'm saying? And he came and he instituted a dress code at the school. He instituted a curfew at the school, which was not popular. And all of this occurred during the time that I was SGA president. So I had the students coming to me. And it was not easy, but
like, hold on, man, we got to do a suit and a tie. What about
the
J's
like do
on the
something? They like do something.
But I'm telling you, all of this stuff, it was crazy, because toward the end of the year, we had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. They had some stuff going on, and they were discussing that at that point, why is an HBCU even important? So they were looking for one student to go before Congress and address them on the importance of historically black colleges and universities. And guess who they were selected? They selected me from Little Paul Quinn College in Dallas, Texas, to do something like that. And that was due to Michael Sorrell preparing me and putting me in position. So when I was able to go before these committees and these people that I had never talked to before, I was able to properly articulate myself and knew my information. And it was not easy, but these are the type of things that you get when you go to an HBCU, because people take a direct view into you and see something in you and invest in you as a person. When you go to these big schools, these people don't have time for that.
Right.
It's too many kids.
You're a number.
Yeah. It's literally too many kids. You become your social or your ID number. So I just wanted to tell my quick story, because I think people don't understand the advantages that you have at an HBCU versus going to a larger school. Let's just say a PWI, because the advantages for us as black students is totally different. The trek is going to be totally different, and the opportunities that we're allotted are going to be totally different at a HBCU versus a PWI. So
now, Taylor, when you were at this time, what was your experience like dealing with Michael? And I'm sure you've had connections with Ken. What was your experience like at the time? Because Ken is playing ball. Like, all of this is going on, right? And see, I remember Ken because, I grew up in Dallas. So, I know all the spiel. But what was your experience like during that time as well? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So my experience as a student at Paul Quinn was definitely, it was It was an uphill and downhill battle at sometimes. I will be completely and totally honest. I mean, people know the history of Paul Quinn and they know the whole SACS accreditation drama and everything else that went with that. And I was a student during that time. So, I came in 08, highs of the highs. And then in summer of 09, it was like, the bottom got dropped from up underneath us. And so it was one of those things where, I really truly saw the true leader that President Sorrell was, and I mean, of course, you, like Ken said, President Sorrell is not the same person that he was. He was a single man at that time. And so he used to have us doing some really crazy things. Like if we were out of dress code, he was in the dorm knocking on people's door like, oh, you was out of dress code. We running at 7 a.m. like all through campus. Mind you, our campus is quite large.
Now hold on. Running?
President's Running Club, PRC.
Wait. Hold on. Y'all had to run laps if you didn't wear a belt?
Or you paid the $250 fine. So
we're running a lap. We're running a lap. We're running a lot.
We're running every Saturday. I promise I ran twice, and I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. And it was I'm gonna go and grab my mail real quick, and it would be the one day I would grab my mail, and he would be in the student union building. Like, you don't even come over here. Like, you don't even go here. What are you doing in the student union building? Like, this is our building. Oh, it's the business hours. You already know I could be everywhere.
Got it. Where to hang out at, like,
so definitely had those times, so it was definitely a fun time to be a Quinnite. Of course, like I said, there were some times where there were some trials that, we definitely had, but I would not change my experience, including the SACS accreditation drama, just because I really truly feel that it built a little bit of character in me. Like, it really showed me that, if you don't give up on something, that something will always support you through the rest of your life. I mean, for me personally, like, I wasn't at higher ed. I literally graduated and went into corporate America and was working in insurance. And literally, Jessica, who is now our director of alumni affairs and career services, was like, hey, can you send me your resume? I want some help in enrollment management. And I was like, my resume, that's a job. Like, if you want a resume, you want me to come work for the Quinn? Oh, okay. All right. So then in literally 2019, I will never forget the homecoming week. Literally, I was interviewing for my job as a recruiter at Paul Quinn. And so I had literally my interview with her team, with the enrollment management team. I had my interview with Prez, and then I was one of the moderators for Winning After Quinning. It's an event that the alums do with the students to basically talk about their career paths after they left Paul Quinn. And so it was quite a long day. I'm not gonna lie, because I got to campus at probably like about 2:00 and I didn't leave till like 9. But it was one of those full circle moments that, in life, you always like, oh, okay, well, like, I don't know what this is going to look like and what this is going to be for me, but I'm gonna just jump into it, and I'm gonna just kind of trust and believe in God and know Romans 8:28. He, everything works out for the good of those who love him. So this is obviously going to work out for the good of those who love him, which is me. So yeah, let's do it. So found literally, like I said, that was the last week of October in 2019, and by December 1, I was, basically working for Paul Quinn. And so now this is year 3, and it'll be 4 years in December. So obviously I love it. I've had this time where, like Ken stated, I've done everything when it comes to Paul Quinn. I've been the student, I've been the student leader, I've been the disgruntled student because I didn't want to be in President's Running Club at 7 a.m. because I was out of dress code. But I also didn't want a $250 fine because unfortunately my scholarship did not cover my fines. Yeah. And so it was just one of those things where, I really have gotten to see like the life cycle of what it means to truly be a Quinnite, and, from watching, how Kim was saying about the introducing yourself, like that's not what we call a Quinnite introduction. A student is to stand up in any situation where they're asking a question. You give your name, where you're from, your major, and what is your dream for your life, or what is your ultimate goal once you actually graduate from Paul Quinn. So it's one of those things where it really teaches our students how to have, that true confidence to really speak in structure. Right. And I mean, I love watching our students and having them come back to my office and tell me about how, we were at Blue Cross Blue Shield and, we were the only students asking questions, or, we were at the Container Store where Prez was speaking and, we were the only students asking questions. And it's just one of those things where the same things that I received when I was a student are the same things that we're instilling in our students now. But me being an administrator and coming to this side, I'm getting to see it full circle even more so. And so, you know, all of that to basically say the experience that I had as a student honestly has created a better administrator in me, because at the end of the day, I remember all of the things that, you know, I wish that I would have had, or the things that I was missing. I felt like I can now be those things that I was missing and be that for my current students and my current caseload.
Now, see, that's dope, because that's where you get into that standard aspect. When you set a standard, when you set, this is what we're trying to reach, this is what we're trying to be, that sets a tone. And I think that some people are scared of that. I think in its initiation, I think we're scared of that a lot of times, but that growth that comes from it, you can't change that. That's epic.
Now, what myths do you think there are that some students that, you know, coming out of high school might have developed or heard from, you know, about HBCUs that might make them deter and think that all these other colleges are where they need to go? What would you like to debunk for them?
That HBCUs don't have the resources and the opportunities that a PWI would have. At the end of the day, I'm going to say that Paul Quinn has endless opportunities when it comes down to it, you know, who we are as an institution. So we are the only HBCU that is a federal work college. So that means that we are a member of the Work Colleges Consortium, meaning that our students have the unique opportunity not only to actually get their 4-year degree, but also have 4 years of expertise in whatever work field that they've been in. So typically students spend 2 years on our campus, you know, as actual work program students in the on-campus work program, and then they go into the corporate work program. Now, the benefit of this is because our students are able to graduate in most cases with less than $10,000 in student debt. So when you look at the median, you know, back in 2020 was like 25,000 and up, and you have an institution that's doing that with 10K or less, you know, it's one of those things that it's an opportunity for students, as well as, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really jealous of these work program kids, because they working at places like JP Morgan Chase, the Container Store. Like, these are real jobs, and they're going on their resume. So, and they're even sometimes getting full-time offers when they're doing good jobs. So it's like, I think of, like, you know, 2 of my students that I had in enrollment management with me. Shout out to, you know, y'all too. I'm not gonna say y'all name because FERPA, but at the end of the day, y'all know who y'all are. Those 2 students spent 1 year with me in the on-campus work program, and they went on to be sophomores in the corporate work program. And literally, I had the opportunity to watch them soar, and they were some of my fall 2020 students, meaning that they started virtually. And so at the end of the day, they didn't actually get their real true on-campus work experience. But then at the same time, we were kind of like starting that whole process and figuring out, okay, what does this look like? You know, let's put them in the career management courses. Let's have them prepared so that when they come to campus, they're just basically jumping straight in. And when I tell you, like, I am so proud to look at them. You know, one is at JP Morgan Chase and one is at 3-to-1 Foundation. And it's just like, whoa, like, to watch them as students and to see their evolution and to just see the things that they've gone on to do. And I absolutely love on Tuesdays, because that's always the day that they come to campus, because they have in-person class on Tuesday. And they always come and see me, and they're telling me about everything. And I just look at them like, you know, a proud mama bear. Like, I remember when y'all were in my office and we had to talk about professionalism, but at the same time, y'all caught on clearly, because look at y'all, yay. But, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of people think that we don't have resources as HBCUs. And I mean, like, let's just be real. HBCUs might not have as much money, but at the end of the day, what we know is we will find a way. And at the end of the day, we find a way. And that is what we as a people have done, you know, historically. Like, I mean, hell, think about HBCUs. I mean, the purpose of it was to provide students of African descent an education. So it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of people think that, oh, yeah, there's no funding in HBCUs. Yeah, we might not have a lot, but we're going to make do with what we got, and we're going to make it happen, Captain, like every single time. And so I think that that's one thing. And also, I think another thing is, you know, for my other students of color, you know, HBCUs aren't just for Black students. you know?
Right.
I mean, it's something that, often, they hear historically Black college or university, but let's just talk about why it's called a historically Black college or university. It's because at the end of the day, white people didn't want us in their school. And so at the end of the day, they made, okay, well, let's just give them a designation. Let's give them their own school, and then they won't want our things.
Mm-hmm.
What better way to be in a space as a person of color? Although you might not be Black, you are still a person of color. The things that you experience as a person of color may not be the same for, a Black student to a Hispanic student to an Asian student. But at the end of the day, there is still an amount of, unity when it comes to it, because we've all experienced something that was not positive. We've all felt like the minority at some point. And when you attend an HBCU, you are not a minority. Everybody is a person of color for the most part. So it's like, okay, I'm right at home. Like, yep, I'm right. This is home. This is my home, is where the heart is. This is my people. Like, it is what it is. And so that's probably, I would say, the two biggest myths is the funding, and that HBCUs are only for Black students, would be those two.
Now, you mentioned that debt aspect. I think that is huge, because most people, when you think of it in terms of that, they think they're going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt after they finish college. So that might detour them a bit. So to hear some of these kids finish with what, $10,000 maybe, which, if you get a great job, that's nothing compared to what you would spend at a normal college, for sure.
Right. Definitely. And now, I mean, that's for a student that would actually be a residential student on campus. So, typically, you think about, oh, yeah, that's just probably for an online student. No, that's an on-campus student that's graduating with less. And it's just because at the end of the day, President Sorrell, like, let's just be real. Like, my degree from Paul Quinn has never wrote anybody a check for any of my bills. And so at the end of the day, what you provide people with, or provide students with, for their post-graduation success is money. And so how do you do that? You start them having little to no debt when they actually graduate, and then they don't have to actually worry about that portion, as well as you put them with a full-time job because they have a 4-year work resume, because they attended an institution that is a part of the Work Colleges Consortium. So it's one of those things where, he, like Kim was saying, he is very much so a business-minded individual. Right. And you definitely always see how calculated he is, because at the end of the day, he is a businessman. And that is the beauty of working, with an institution and with a leader like him of our institution, because he does understand it, and he thinks about it from a real true aerial view versus, okay, we're just worrying about the education. Let's pull it back. Like, let's look at where our students are coming from. Let's look at what our students need. Let's see what kind of support our students need. Our mental health services, is just crazy. I am actually one of the members that sits on an actual special project for the institution. And I'm not gonna lie, we didn't have, like I said, President Sorrell is not the person that he was back when we were students. You cried, and then he asked you, did you need a tissue? And then you were good. But now,
hold on. Did he get married? Did he find him a woman?
He got married. He had 2 kids, 2 beautiful children, and he has a daughter, and so he's a girl dad. And so the girl
that usually balances us brothers out.
You want to see Prez become a total teddy bear? Let her ask for anything. It's okay. Well, go and ask this person for that, and you'll be. I'm like, you're running around behind. Okay, all right. Cool. And I mean,
when the dad gets bossed around.
Fred, Fred is no small man. So at the end of the day, it's to see that little girl change everything for this 6'4" man. It's like, you let her fuck you, okay. But we love it because it's changed who he was as a leader, because he's now more compassionate. He's now more understanding. He's a little bit more soft and not as rigid. I could think of times when I went in his office and cried, and he was like, you good now? I'm start crying. I am literally bawling. My face is swollen, and you talking about some, you good now? What? But now, when he has those situations, he has a mental health team that is literally housed in our student union building. It's like, hey, go ahead and make an appointment. Or he'll literally call and be like, hey, so I'm sending a student over there. Or, hey, you just saw a student and they're about to be coming over there. Just if you see them, make sure they're going to the sub and going to Dr. Alexander and Ms. Belton. So it's definitely something that, you know, has been something great to watch, to see him. But yeah, I mean, it's
the maturation, right? Like that's
maturation, but it's also just like the becoming of literally truly like a man that was a new leader when it comes down to like being a college president. Because I mean, like, let's just be real, like Prez was about to have partial ownership of the Memphis Grizzlies, like, and then you became an HBCU president, and now you're the longest serving president at Paul Quinn. So it's like you think of things like that, and it's like, okay, you must be really doing something here, because you're still here. And you know, it's something that, you know, our students, like, as hard as he can be, it's always for the better, and it's always for their ultimate success. And just having a leader like him that understands all of the different pieces and having the aerial view of a college education and the matriculation journey is just something that oftentimes you don't see a president as involved as he is, but at the end of the day, it winds up to be a better situation for, you know, staff, faculty, students, and everyone alike at the end of the day.
Now, talk to us a little bit about some of the prestigious people that kind of come from HBCUs. I'm sure you guys have kind of met, known, heard about people that are in famous positions. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think the star power is important to know, hey, Oprah came from here, so-and-so came from here, Walter Payton, Michael Strahan, all of these amazing people that we think, you know, came from bigger colleges. Talk to us a little bit about that aspect.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I feel like at the end of the day, everybody is famous that attends an HBCU, because you somebody when you on an HBCU campus.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I ain't nobody to maybe somebody all the way out in Nebraska, but at the end of the day, I'm somebody in Dallas, to a Paul Quinn person or to a graduate of Paul Quinn or to Bishop College. You know, I feel like you are somebody no matter what when you attend an HBCU, because you're not just a number. You're not just that ID number. You're not just your social security number. So, you know, I feel that everybody is a star, but of course there are people that, you know, are famous that have attended, like you say, you know, Oprah Winfrey, you have Michael Strahan, you have Walter Payton, you have Shannon Sharp, just to name like a few off the top of my head. And
I got a list.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I got a list.
Break the list out, because it's huge.
Drop the list.
Yeah, I got a list because I wanted people to understand the variety, right? And like I was telling Benji earlier, you know, a lot of us knew, you know, especially as athletes, we knew the athletes that came from HBCUs, but we didn't know the other contributions of people outside of that realm. So I got a list. I got David Dinkins, Howard University. He's the first African American mayor of New York City. We got Reverend Jesse Jackson. Everybody know who Jesse Jackson is.
Yeah,
Rainbow Coalition, all that, civil rights activist. Came from North Carolina A&T. You got Spike Lee, of course, Morehouse College. And I will mention that movie that he birthed changed my life. And if people don't know what that movie is, it's called School Days.
School Days, yes.
That movie, I think, really affected my life more than Different World. It actually did, right? Because I used to look at that movie pretty regularly. So shout out to Spike Lee for producing that movie, because that movie gave me the I think another aspect of what an HBCU was. You know, I guess from a more day-to-day version and a more a different view from Spike. You know, Spike Lee gonna give you a different view of everything. So he came from Morehouse. George Alcorn. He's not from Alcorn State, y'all. He's from Howard University. He's an alum of Howard University, and he was the inventor of the imaging X-ray spectrometer. So y'all see that
that's huge, because I never knew that. So that's important.
So when y'all go get these X-rays, That's a black man. That's a
All
black
right.
man. Everybody gets an X-ray. So,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? At some point in their life, so that y'all remember, that's an HBCU grad that gave you an opportunity to be able to, you know what I'm saying, look inside your body to see what's going on.
Mhm.
All right. So we got Denise Young Smith, Grambling State University. She's Apple's vice president of worldwide human resources.
Okay.
Wow, that's huge.
Apple. And this is an HBCU
Yeah,
grad.
and yeah, that iPhone you got, yeah.
I need to
So
talk to her about the 13 phones.
So we got Langston Hughes, of course, Lincoln
Yes.
University poet.
Mhm.
We got John Thompson, not the basketball coach, but John W. Thompson.
Now you mentioned that. That was the first thing I was going to say. JW.
No, John W. Thompson, Florida A&M University. He's the first African American chairman of Microsoft.
Awesome.
So just this short list. This is only a fraction, a smart, very
Right.
0.1% of the greatness that has come from HBCUs. This list is small, and
Right.
these people are doing huge things.
Yeah.
So as I always say, do your Googles, people. Go out there, Google HBCU grads, notable HBCU grads, and you're gonna see list upon list of people that have come and that have done great things in this society and in this world, made great contributions. And yeah, they went to these small schools, and like Taylor said, when you're on the HBCU campus, you're somebody, right?
Right.
I don't care where you went. When you go back, it's always that nostalgic, great feeling of being back, and it's a family feel. I don't care what HBCU you go to, how big it is, how small it is. We're family. Period.
Right.
What advice, Taylor, would you give an up and coming, high school student coming out that has no family that has ever gone HBCU, doesn't know where to start, begin, or even how to get into that, but is curious? Like, what do you say they should do?
So I would probably start with college prep, especially for students that are first gen students. Oftentimes what students don't realize is that when we are looking at students that receive early acceptance letters, like basically before December 1 of their just senior year, we're typically looking at the freshman, sophomore, and junior grades. So at the end of the day, if you played your freshman year and your sophomore year, and then you're like, oh, let me get my life together in my junior and senior year, typically you're not able to always be able to get those early acceptances because you're attempting to get your GPA up. Now, if you come out the gate swinging, from class 1, in ninth grade all the way through your 11th grade, and that GPA is high, typically that's when that scholarship money is up for grabs, because you're getting early acceptances, and then you're also getting the access to the monies that are there. Typically that's a little bit higher at the beginning of the year than it would be at the end of the year when it gets closer to the beginning of the start. So that's one my thing that I tell all students. As far as students that don't have a forever culture in their family of HBCUs, I would probably say, one, find what they're looking to do, or figure out what they want to do. A lot of times, we'll have students that just, oh, I'm gonna go here because I know it because of social media, or I seen this TikTok and I feel like, oh, that looked like something I want to do. At the end of the day, yes, it could be fun like that in that TikTok, but that doesn't mean that that's that experience that you would have. So oftentimes, when you're thinking about it, make sure that you're researching the kind of institution. If you're wanting to study business, I'm not trying to, plug Paul Quinn, but I'm plugging Paul Quinn, because at the end of the day, what better school to go to than a federal work college where you get a 4-year work degree, a 4-year actual degree and a 4-year work resume. And sometimes you can have a full-time job before you even graduate, as long as you do graduate. So it's one of those things where, you really need to figure out what you're looking to study. And then y'all have access to all this information that is here. Use it. Y'all use it for everything else. At the end of the day, use that to your actual, advantage. It's one of those things where, oftentimes I loved when I was actually in my recruiting role, when students would tell me about Paul Quinn when they walk up to a table that I'm at. And it's like, oh, wait, y'all the one that's like the only, like, y'all like a work college or something. It's like, yeah, we are. And then that starts the conversation, because at the end of the day, I guarantee you those students that do something like that are the students that I remember. Even if I didn't met 300 kids, I remember it was one kid that actually came up to me and told me about my HBCU. We love that at the end of the day.
Right.
But it also shows that you've done some research and you've done some of your own legwork. Now, if you wind up being wrong, let the person correct you. Don't get an attitude and be upset, because at the end of the day, sometimes there is misinformation on the internet, but you be gracious, you take the information, and then you go from there, and you allow that to be a space where you get a chance to actually learn from that individual. But I would really say research, and figure out what's best for you. Like I stated, at the beginning, I knew that I couldn't go to a big HBCU. Like I just knew, like I was like, nah, I'm gonna get lost in the sauce. I'm gonna probably lose my mind, and my mom and my dad are gonna be like, we're writing a check. What is wrong with you, girl? And yeah, no, I'm not trying to have it. So I needed a smaller environment where like there were people that were like literally in my life, and like literally these are people that are now my colleagues, but they were in my life even after graduation. I think of, Dean Kelsey Thompson. Her and I would literally go to lunch even after I graduated. And then, she stayed in my life like, hey, haven't seen you at any events for alums or any homecoming. Is everything okay? And I'd be like, oh, get out of my life. I'm going through some, let me be. But at the end of the day, that just goes to show you that even though you're no longer one of the students at the institution, that care, concern, the nurturing, it's still there, and it's lifelong. I mean, I love, working basketball games and, getting a chance when I'm volunteering with PQC retail, and I see students come back and how excited they are to see Dean Thompson, because she was the dean of students back when they were a student. So, and literally she remembers everybody. I mean, first and last name. And I'll be like, dang, like how do you remember that? They're like, oh yeah,
Right.
they was a 2016 graduate. Why do you remember what year they graduated? They was also in this, da, 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 da. And I'm like, the fact that you can rattle off this information like that, but that's what it is. That's
Pride.
what it means when you attend an HBCU. You have people that really truly care about you, and will forever care about you at the end of the day. So really, like I said, making sure that them grades stay right from 9th grade through 11th grade. And then also just figuring out what's best for you and figuring out what you want to study, and then finding the best institution for what you want to study.
That pride seems to hit a little bit different. Everybody's got their pride in their schools, but when you go to a meeting or an event for an HBCU, and presidents and staff members remember your name, what year you graduated, that kind of pumps your chest up a little bit, kind of gives you that total family feel. And I think that's what you definitely get at HBCUs from what I've seen. That's why I want my son to go so bad.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, everybody famous when you go to HBCU, period.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I echo that sentiment too, because I mean, even when I was at Prairie View, which is quite a bit larger than Paul Quinn, it's the same thing, right? All those people on the campus, the professors know you. We had a professor in my architecture, shout out to Dr. Chooks. They know you. So when you don't come to class, Mr. Boston, where have you been? Like, I mean, I just like didn't come to to lab like yesterday, but like they own you, right? They have a vested interest in every student in that classroom, so they know you. If they see you walking across campus and they know you were supposed to be in their 9 o'clock lecture, where you been? Why weren't you in my class this morning? So you need to come see me. You need to come have a talk with me. And it's not just the professors, it's the administration on the campus, because like I said, for me, I was lucky enough to be a student, but also become part of the administration. So from the administration standpoint, I was able to see the effect that the decisions that we make as the administration have on these students. So, to keep that family environment intact, to actually care about each student that we accept into that school. because we're impacting lives.
Lives,
We're
right.
impacting generations, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
After us. So, like Taylor said, when we go back to campus, it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see my people,
Right.
because these
Like a
are the
family reunion almost.
hey,
Literally.
that's what it is. And it's not just your school, it's a HBCU thing, period, because I don't care what HBCU you went to. If you go to another HBCU's homecoming, you're gonna feel at home. You're gonna feel like you're enjoying yourself. It's an environment of acceptance, right? And I wanted to point out too, see, here's the biggest thing. Now, a lot of people are gonna say this is a detraction or whatever the case may be from a PWI. It's not. But I'm gonna tell you what, if you go to a HBCU, like Taylor said earlier, it's a misnomer that people say, okay, HBCU black. It's nothing but black people there. That's not accurate. We accept everybody, right?
Right.
I don't care who you are. If you're a person, we always have that one or two white guys on the campus of an HBCU. They come in and they cool, calm, and collected. And you know what we do? We bring them in, we accept them, we love on them, and they leave there with parts in their hair and different haircuts, and they part of the environment because we're a loving people, right? We don't
Right.
look at people and say, okay, well, you're different from us, so we're not gonna accept you, or we're gonna outcast you. Nah, we're gonna show them love. And that's the loving environment and family environment of an HBCU. I don't care what HBCU it is, it's the same. We're going to show you love, and it's a family environment. And I'll keep repeating that because people have to understand that that's what it's all about. That's the basis of it, and that continues to be the basis of it to this very day in 2023.
Now, talk to us, Taylor, about the class size when we're in lecture, when you're in HBCUs. What are we dealing with? What typically are you dealing with when it comes to class size? Lectures are very important. So is it 100 kids, 200, 30 kids, 40 kids? How does that work?
Depends on where you go to school, because ours
Right.
is 25 at the end of the day. We do not put more than 25 kids in the class. Like, our cap is 25. Literally was just in a meeting with our VP of Academic Affairs and Registrar as we were talking about classes for the fall. And so at the end of the day, we attempt to really kind of keep our student teacher ratio low. So we normally try and have no more than 12 to 1 when it comes to the actual courses that are like their major courses. But when it comes down to their lectures, typically we're allowing them to be a little bit larger. Like I said, 2 times that amount, like at 25. But I mean, it really just depends, because, you can have lectures, depending on your institution side, you can have a lecture class that is 100 plus students. But at the same time, typically those are going to be your classes that are like your core courses. So like your Englishes, your histories, your government, your college algebra, basic stats, those core courses that you're taking at the very, very beginning. So like your freshman, sophomore years. And then you normally experience a smaller class size when you're in those junior, senior classes, because those are your actual major courses. So of course, everything is filtered out because not everybody is going to be in your major. So
Right.
for those core classes, you're going to have everybody. And then as everybody's, time, basically goes on, junior and senior year, you're in your actual majors. So you might not see the same classmates that you had in your freshman Comp 1 class. But then at the same time, you may have a new student that you see in your, in your Principles of Management course. But that's because maybe they took their core courses, in a high school program that was a dual credit program. So you kind of have almost like a new set of students, almost, when you think about it, when you get to that junior, senior year. But it really just depends. So typically, like I said, freshman, sophomore year are going to be your core courses, where you're kind of like taking like your Englishes, histories, math, etc. And then junior, senior, when you normally have your small, more close-knit courses or classes, that are smaller in size, just due to the fact that it is a part of your major requirements and your major coursework for your actual degree.
I love that. Because ultimately getting in and getting that kind of that treatment where you feel like you're a part of the room, that's important, because some kids are visual learners, some kids are, they can hear it and pick it up and run quick with it. But to have a class that size, I think that's very impactful.
Yeah, you get the focus, you get the attention, you get, it's not,
Right.
you're not overlooked.
Yeah, you get a chance to discuss, like you really get a chance to grasp what you're learning. I think about one of my human resource management courses. Literally, there were 6 of us in that class. And literally that was the reason why when I went into corporate America, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get to her human resources because I love being in people's business. Like I'm gonna get paid to be in people's business. I love it. And so it was because I enjoyed that class and I enjoyed the actual, discussions that we had and all the time that we spent, actually speaking with, each other, but then also being in a situation where kind of getting a chance to have that, oh wow, this could be a real life situation. And because a lot of the things that, as students, we did have true real life, quote unquote, scenarios where, we were all different, heads of departments, and we had to come together to figure out the solution for this one employee that was experiencing this issue, but we had to respond to it from the human resources standpoint. It was just one of those things where in those smaller, group sizes, even because that's the full class, literally your class is literally your group. So it's like, it's great to have that camaraderie, but then also have the opportunity to truly see where you could ultimately see yourself when it comes down to it is really, something that I really loved about that small class size when it came down to it.
Yeah, I would thrive I love the small classroom. So when I went to college eventually, we had like 30 kids in the room, and you kind of glean off of everybody in the classroom. So I think that's my style. That's what I would love. So it's good that of course, depending on class size, school size rather, you might be in a room with 50 to 100 kids. Some people can thrive in that environment. So that's dope to me.
Yep. And I met some amazing professors too at
Right.
Paul Quinn. And I would be remiss not to mention the great Dr. Weldon Walton. Um, People who come from Paul Quinn and have been around Paul Quinn, you know that name. And he was one of the most remarkable people I have ever met in my life.
Hmm.
He was a professor. He would come in the classroom, and people know I'm not lying. He would come in the classroom with no textbook. He taught from the top of his head. He was biology teacher, and he came in the first day of class, walked in, white lab coat. You know what I'm saying? He come in with his marker and his roll sheet. The people who were in the classroom came in. I took him my first year at Paul Quinn, 9 a.m. class. Came in, closed the door, locked it. So if you weren't in when he got there, he came in generally about 9:02. So if he came in at 9:02 and you weren't in the class, he locked the door.
Hmm. You
um,
stuck.
and the
And
guy came.
he wasn't opening. Oh, he
No,
wouldn't let you disrupt class,
dude,
right?
dude, you were outside that door, which means you did not exist at that point. When
Mhm.
class started, class started. So he came in and started writing on the board. So at that point, we had 3 editions of the textbook we had. So we said, Dr. Walton, I can't find the page in which you're looking at. Well, in the first edition, now this is the way he talked. I like to mimic him. That's my guy. In the first edition, it is on page 42. And in the second edition, it is on page 48. And in the third edition, it's on page 53. Like he knew this off the top of
On
his
top of
head,
his
bro.
head.
But the thing that really blew my mind was one day we were doing the parts of a cell. Now this is random, but if people know the parts of a cell, it's a ton of parts, right? So he had a diagram in which we had to name the different parts of a cell. This guy was naming the parts of the cell off the top of his head,
Hmm.
and we ended class. So he left a diagram on the board, dude. The next class period, he came in, redrew the diagram, and picked up on his where he was from the day before, from the last class period, which is 2 days before.
That
Like
sounds like
no notes, no nothing. Just came in and picked up from where he left off. My mind was blown, dude, because I'm
Got
like,
that
I'm taking
computer
notes.
mind.
I'm taking notes. Oh,
Right.
literally notes. And he came and picked up right where he left off, dude. My mind was blown. And from that point forward, he took me under his wing. Again, I had great opportunity. I had great mentors. He took me up on my wing. He took me up on his wing. He saw something special in me. And from that point forward, like he kept putting me in position to be successful. giving me opportunities because I was putting in the work. So when
Love
people
it.
see you putting in the work on the HBCU campus, they see that's something in you. They're going to start pouring into you. You can be one of those students that just kind of, as I expected to do when I first got there, kind of fly under the radar, but
Mhm.
they see the greatness that you don't even see in yourself, and they're going to push you. So, for me, that small environment is exactly what I needed in order to thrive and, what I'm saying, be successful. So, shout out to him, rest in peace. But he was a huge part of Paul Quinn history and will forever be, a legend and and the stories that people can tell because it's second to none, bruh. Like I can't even explain. I just get goosebumps thinking about it because it was just that crazy.
And what
Hey,
you forget
man.
to mention also too about him was the fact that he was actually a professor at our Waco campus. So Paul Quinn history. Paul Quinn was actually founded in Austin, Texas, or we were founded as a different institution, which you will also, students, as you are doing your research, you will find that not all HBCUs have the same name as when they first actually began. So
True.
we were actually Connectional High School Institute for Negro Youth when we were founded in initially in 1872 in Austin, Texas. Then we moved to Waco, and then we basically got we were Waco College, and then we actually became Paul Quinn as a namesake to Bishop William Paul Quinn. And he was actually a professor when we were in Waco. And what a lot of people didn't know is Dr. Walton used to actually drive and
Every
commute
day.
from Waco to Dallas because he didn't want to move to Dallas. So he literally used to drive from Waco to Dallas for classes on Monday, Wednesday for him to actually teach biology, like literally, or Tuesday, Thursday was
Tuesday,
his class
Thursday.
day
Yeah.
because it was he had the 9:30 to 10:50 class. Literally, he used to drive to Dallas Tuesdays and Thursdays just to come teach biology. And literally, like he said, Dr. Walton was, oh my gosh, like he inducted me into both of the honor societies that I was actually inducted into when I was a student. And I remember the second time around, he was like, "You here again?" He was like, "Guess you're just gonna keep getting all my little medals, huh?" And I just think about that, and it's like it's not your actual medals, Dr. Walton. They gotta send them to me, so they mine. He was like, when they come to campus, they coming to me, and so I just think about that. When you said his name, I immediately thought about that. But he's definitely a Paul Quinn icon, like when it comes down to it, because he was a mover and shaker when we were in Waco, and was a mover and shaker, when we made it to Dallas, and continue to be that, even, driving the hour and a half, one way just to get to campus. But he was so invested in our students and in the student body that he was willing to make that drive every Tuesday, Thursday for us, and make a 3-hour commute round trip when it came down to it.
Love it.
Benji knows about that Waco. Benji's
Oh
Benji's
yeah.
got
You know
family
what I
members.
call it? I call it wacko.
Yeah, we all have family members. All of my family on both sides stems from Waco.
Yeah.
So we deeply entrenched in the Waco campus. My grandmother lived less than a mile from the campus. So my whole family, my mom's, siblings, they grew up, right down the street from the school. My dad's side, they actually they actually worked at the campus
Right.
in different capacities during that time. And they actually would tell me about Dr. Walton. And as a kid myself, I went to NYSP, which is a summer program that a lot of HBCUs have, and Paul Quinn had it in Waco. I wasn't old enough to go yet, but because the people knew my family, shout out to the McKinnon twins, they allowed me to attend the summer program there as an 8-year-old, even though you're supposed to be 10 and up, right? So
Early access.
yeah, hey, hey, access, hey, VIP got its privileges. You know what I'm saying? When people know people who know people, they get you in there. So for me, like she was saying, Dr. Walton driving every day. There was even a few times where I caught a ride with him because my parents live in Waco. So
Right.
I caught a ride with him. You know what I'm saying? Just to get back and forth or something like that. So it's that, again, that family feel of people being willing to lend themselves to you, their time, their efforts, and putting in that extra effort in order to make sure you're successful when they really don't have to do that.
Now that's
That's
one thing
dope.
that just keeps popping up, and we keep hearing from each example, and each it's just that family aspect that you're receiving there. So that's great. Now my question is, so I have a question that somebody sent me. Uh, they so for those that want to experience or want that HBCU background behind them, but can't be on campus and can't, they have their dedication to family that they have to take care of or something that may be going on. Do HBCUs offer online degrees just like other colleges? Is that an option for them?
Yes, it most definitely is. So we have quite a large online population at Paul Quinn. So I won't say the beauty in the pandemic, but one of the good things that came from, COVID-19 and the pandemic was the fact that we were able to launch a 100% online learning program. And so with that, giving students the opportunity to learn from literally wherever. And so one of those things that, that I like a lot of my caseload is actually online students. And so it gives them the opportunity to still obtain the degree. And, a lot of them are, adult learners and typically, above the age of 30. And at the end of the day, they're coming back to school. And it's always great to, hear those stories, from them about, how, oh, I ain't been in school since, you see my last transcript say 2002 and I'm jumping back in. So you tell me, it's been 21 years since I've been in school. They're like, were you even born 21 years? I'm like, yes, I was born 21 years. Yes, I definitely was. But at the end of the day, there's definitely, there's still some like culture and camaraderie that you feel even from being in an online environment. You have your Canvas, like is our online classroom environment. So I just think about the discussion boards that they participate in. I mean, you have projects that you're sometimes assigned, you still, although you're not having that in-person on-campus experience, you're still getting those little pieces that professors are attempting to get you to have that connection with your people and, or with your classmates, I should say, just because at the end of the day, the people that you're typically in those classes with are typically the people that you're going to graduate with. And so in those situations, they attempt to form that community because eventually you will come to campus because eventually you're going to walk. And at the end of the day, you're going to get this good degree. So it's one of those things of having that opportunity, in those online classroom environments, to still have that connection to your classmates and to your fellow community. It's really something that, is definitely worked towards. Now, as far as online programming, I would definitely say, once again, research. For those students that are looking for, a specific program, you got to find those specific programs. So like I think about Paul Quinn, for example, we are an institution that have educated quite a few educators. And so at the end of the day, although we do have a early childhood through 6, that is one of those actual degree plans that's not available online because there are certain requirements. So you really just need to find the institution that one has what you are actually looking for, and to make sure that it is a 100% online, degree plan or degree program, just because at the end of the day, you would never want to start a degree program and then you get to the end, it's like, oh yeah, you need to come to campus. And it's like, ooh, But, so it's just one of those things about doing the research, making sure that it is a 100% online program from start to finish. And typically you can find that, on an institution's website when it comes down to it in their course catalogs, and kind of figure out what the degree plan looks like and then which programs are actually 100% online.
Okay. Now, with that being said, how enrollment wise, are we seeing a lot of ladies enroll into HBCUs? Are the men coming and saying, you know what, I want to get into this thing? Who's kind of dominating the enrollment here? Is it more ladies? Is it more men? Are brothers like, you know what, I'm finally want to get that degree? What's going on?
I mean, not trying to be funny, but typically more women are enrolled in colleges and universities. Like, let's just be
let's go, ladies.
I'm learning, y'all. Not trying to be offensive, but it is.
Shout out to the ladies. Shout out to the ladies.
Shout out to the ladies.
Getting those degrees.
But at the end of the day, no, really though, it is, it is typically you have more, like when it comes down to, so when you work, at an institution that you love, you kind of do a little bit of everything. And one of the fun things this summer that we were attempting to do and figure out was making sure that, because the Trammell Crow Living and Learning Center actually is our on-campus living environment. Well, we're suite style, meaning that at the end of the day, you have 4 people that share one bathroom, but you have to make sure that it's women on one side and women on one side. And so on both sides, excuse me, and not just women on one side, men on one side. And so it was a fun thing this summer where it was like, whoa, hey. That's a female student and that's a male student. Why are these two? It's like, oh, wait a minute. And so then it's like coming back to the drawing board, and like kind of putting my little student experience hat on and student affairs hat on and helping them out with names, because sometimes, you can have a name that doesn't seem like it would be, just because like most of the time I'm always Mr. Henley, until people are like, oh, you're a woman. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, all right, sorry. Thought it was Taylor or Tyler. No, not at all. Hi, I'm a woman. And so at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, it's typically mostly women. And so at the end of the day, we are out learning y'all. No offense, like I said. But at the end of the day, that is how in most colleges and universities, your female population is way higher than your male pop, sometimes 2 times or more.
Yeah. Brothers, listen. Brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? Listen. Now, I did notice that the uptake, a lot more men are starting to go to college, get those degrees and so forth. But shout out to the ladies out there handling their business, getting those degrees, getting in there, handling their business, working and doing everything that they can do. Shout out to y'all. But shout out to the brothers that's kind of making the numbers come a little bit closer. I mean, I'm going back to school soon anyway.
Well, it's a lot.
I want to add to the positive numbers for the brothers. So.
Well, it's a lot of brothers out there that heard that it's a lot of women there, and that's what they're gonna go there for. You know what I'm saying?
They're online right now.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Hey, the degree becomes a byproduct of just being around.
Whatever motivates you to get your education.
Whatever motivates you to get in there and get that education. Hey, even what was his name? The president, Stanley, even he found him a woman in his life.
Oh, President Sorrell. Yeah.
I
said Stanley. Like,
I don't know his name. My bad.
Your name. He took Sorrell and Henley. See, that's why he got to go back to school. You see what his mind did?
I mean, hey, I enjoyed college when I went. I wanted it so bad at UCR. I finished with a 3.67 GPA. It was something I wanted to do that I was denied doing for such a long time, that I enjoyed it so much that I got back in it and I smashed it. And I realized, you know what? You got to keep learning. You got to keep adding to yourself. And so I think one of the great ways of doing that is going to a college, because you have this wide variety of people that you've never met before, different personalities, different concepts, different ideas. But ultimately, you're getting in an environment where you can learn something new, and you can learn something new about yourself as well when you push yourself. And I think college is a perfect space to do that in.
I'll say this too, that, piggyback on what you're saying, the networking piece of, college, especially in HBCU, is huge. Right. I think a lot of people, when you go, you think about, okay, yeah, there's a lot of girls there. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of parties. There's a lot of that stuff is cool when you first get there. But once you get there and you understand your mission there and what you're supposed to do as you trek through the years and you matriculate through and you graduate, then you look back and say, you know what? My networking, ability is strong. I can make a couple phone calls, and I got somebody who knows somebody somewhere, and we can make some things happen. So, like I said, for me, even the conferences that I went to as an SGA president, some of those people who were at those conferences are doing some huge stuff now. And I just look back at some of those pictures, and I'm like, wow, that is crazy that I was at these conferences with these people, and look what they're doing now. So, the HBCU experience is amazing, man. So, those of you who have tuned in tonight, you got this information. We gave you so many things to go and do your Googles. But remember, family is the biggest piece of an HBCU. I don't care what HBCU it is. They're going to tell you their experience, the connections they made, the lasting connections they made. And for most people, the people that you meet on a college campus, those are your life friends. Those are the
Right.
friends who you have for the remainder of your life. And especially for those who join organizations like fraternities and sororities, like those are the people who become their network, who become their lifelines, who become their best friends and things of that nature. So, we want these students to understand that they have options. And when you're absolutely looking for the best place for you, please consider an HBCU. Do your research. For those of you who allotted the opportunity to travel, go travel to some of these institutions. Don't just go during homecoming.
Right.
Homecoming is a great time to experience it, but that
Do
we don't
both.
want you to get that view of, and you think that that's going to be like the day to day, because it's not. It's an amazing time, but that's not going to be your day to day. But it's a family environment, and please consider HBCUs moving forward. And talk to people like Miss Tayler Henley, because she has the information, and there are many Tayler Henleys at all HBCUs across the country that you can reach out to get this information. So before we wrap up, Miss Henley, we want to give you an opportunity to provide any inspirational, motivational words to the audience and people watching today before we wrap up. So what do you have to say for the audience?
So I do want to add one thing. You talked about visiting, and at the end of the day, not all students are able to actually visit their campuses that they want to see. What I will say, another thing that COVID-19 did for colleges and universities was the fact that we beefed up our virtual tours. So if you're unable to actually travel to these institutions, get on their website. Typically on your admissions pages, you would literally find a very, very in-depth tour. Trust me, myself and Dexter Evans, who Kevin Boston knows very well, he and I worked tirelessly on our actual virtual tour. So, utilize that. But I think the biggest thing that I want you to leave, students with is, when you are attempting to figure out the HBCU for you, do what is best for you. Think about you. The decision for college is all about you. It is about no one else but you. Now, yes, I understand that there may be someone else that is cutting a check, that is attempting to, steer you a certain type of way, but be prepared in those situations to actually be in a place where you are able to say, no, this is the reason why this is the best place for me. This is the reason why I would exceed and do well and literally make your money stretch even further, because if I attend this institution, this, and this, really truly be ready to have those conversations that can sometimes be hard, but at the same time, be ready to be able to say, this is why I identify with this institution, and this is why this is the best place for you. It is all about you when it comes to your actual 4-year degree and your matriculation journey and your college journey. So make sure that you are making the best decisions for you. And also, don't be afraid to say that I need to transfer. Just because you get to an institution does not mean you have to stay at an institution. You are
Now,
able to.
I'm sorry, Ken, you did something like that, correct? Right? 2
Yeah.
years at one, 2 years at another.
Yeah, I had a whole nother circumstance, but yeah, it's
Yes.
yeah, like she's
Oh, I'm
saying,
leaving mine. That's
don't
what
be
I know
afraid.
today.
Yep, don't be afraid. But go ahead, Miss Henley.
Right.
But yeah, so don't be afraid to leave. At the end of the day, you can get to some place that you think is the perfect fit for you, and then you get there and you're like, whoo, this is not for me. It's okay for that to happen. Just make sure that when you are getting ready to actually transfer, that you have all your ducks in a row, so that whenever you're actually transferring into the other institution, you're ready to go. Make sure that your balances are clear. Make sure all your official transcripts are sent to the new institution, and just making sure that everything, is in line so that you can be successful at your next institution. But be courageous, be the writer of your own story, because at the end of the day, no one knows you better than you, and at the end of the day, it is all about you. And thank you guys so much for having me.
Before you go,
you was dope.
Before I go,
Loads of information, precise, clear, all of that.
Before you go, we had one comment that just came in that we need to quickly address, and I this slipped my mind. Right. So Crystal Robinson said that the financial aid opportunities are out there too, more than if you attended a PWI in a lot of cases, and that is absolutely true. When you go to a HBCU, there are programs and scholarship opportunities that are allotted to you just because you're at an HBCU that won't be offered to you at a PWI. So those opportunities are definitely out there. So do your research, as I always say, do your Googles. Find them. The money's out there.
Yeah.
Also, students, raise.me, RAISE.me. That is going to be your scholarship site for micro scholarships, meaning that at the end of the day, you can literally be getting $25 scholarships for just going to a college fair or just going to an actual table. So that's RAISE.me, and it's going to be a micro scholarship site. Start that as soon as you can. I know
micro scholarship site.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm typing that in as we speak.
So basically, you getting the information too. I love it. We love it.
We posting this information and we putting it out there for
great. Yeah. So basically what it is you literally get money for doing your regular like college search things. And as long as you can provide like the proof that you went to these, some of them, honestly, you just have to click it and then you put your name and your information in, and then it actually sends it straight in. So when you go to your actual institutions, it'll literally just be sent directly to the financial aid department. And then if your actual balance is clear, that money comes right back to you. So the beauty of scholarship money is once you actually finish with your actual cost of attendance, you sometimes can be receiving money back. And like Crystal said, the financial aid opportunity is also there, but you have to also remember you have alums that give back. And so at the end of the day, alum chapters will literally have scholarships typically for their area. So like I think about the the PQC Houston alumni chapter. I literally have a very, very close student of mine that actually received a scholarship from one of our Houston alums, like directly from her, like, hey, This is a check that I'm writing for you. This is a gift for you to actually keep attending school. So utilize those alum groups, find the alum groups, figure out if they have scholarships. Like she said, financial aid opportunities are endless, but also just the scholarships that are available are definitely there. But I mean, if you are attending an HBCU, there is money for you to spend that does not always have to be your own. And I'll leave it at that.
Thanks.
I like that. I like that.
We're going to find the money.
Oh yeah, gotta find the money. Ain't got no choice but to find that.
All right, well, we gonna let Miss Henley get to bed. She got an early morning. She did let me know that we appreciate her joining us. Tonight. What I'm saying, we do the episode a little bit later because we got our people on the West Coast.
On the West Coast, yeah.
So but she said that she goes to bed early because she gets up in the morning and has an early morning workout.
Why are you telling all of this? You could have been off alive. Dang.
I mean, we respect. No.
I support it.
That's what I'm saying. We absolutely support it, and we absolutely want to let you know that we know that this is an exception to your day. So we appreciate the time that you were able to spend with us. Truly, truly, truly value the information that you provided, and we definitely thank you, and will continue to support you, and of course, Paul Quinn College.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Love it.
I want some gear, by the way.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I got you. All right, Miss Tayler Henley, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, that was dope, man.
All right.
That's
Lining
that,
me up.
the information that we
Hey,
got from that. Yeah, I loved
I'm
it.
gonna tell y'all this too. Crystal Robinson brought up a great idea. Taylor did too. The scholarship money, and as Taylor said, sometimes there is extra money available when you have a scholarship. It's called a refund check. And if you went to any college, especially in HBCU, you know the fun of a refund check. When it's refund check time, it's similar to tax time. When people get their tax refund, it's the same kind of feel on campus when people start getting them refund checks from their
Oh yeah, you get
overage.
super excited then.
Man, rims start to come up. You know what I'm saying? New new
Mhm.
new
Is it Ken,
things.
is that how you put the rims on the blue ride back then?
Nah. I was a grown man, so I had a job, but hey, that
Yeah.
extra money that I
Right. Some
used to
paper.
get, yeah, nah, it didn't go to no rims. It went to my kids. My kids had to eat. You know what I'm saying? So I had to spend it on other things, but those opportunities are there, people.
Right.
And when you essentially have that scholarship and an overage to provide yourself some funds to live the day to day, gas money, food, things of that nature while you're away from home, while you're away from your family, those type of things are huge. So again, we appreciate Miss Henley for coming on and sharing all the wealth of information and her experiences, because maybe today that was able to, help somebody decide whether they wanted to attend the HBCU, help them lean more toward it. And
Right.
and if you're in the Dallas area, give Paul Quinn College a try. In any area that you're in, especially if you're close to an HBCU, go visit if you haven't before. Talk to the people there in order to get the information. And I'm saying, do your Googles, man.
Do your Googles. And remember tonight, them online programs, because of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
created some great opportunities. Go check those out, man.
That's
Listen, listen, this is the fire session. We're gonna bring you some fire stuff, some stuff you can actually apply to your life. So another W tonight, fam, for this show for sure.
Facts. So y'all already know how we do when we get up out of here. We give our people an opportunity to tell you something before we get up out of here and tell you where to find them on social media. Trisha Michelle, boom, hit the people with the information and let them know where to find you so they can go and like all your pictures.
oh my God. I hope y'all wrote down some stuff. So don't y'all better get an education before y'all go double tap my photos. But
See, I like that. Good comeback. Good comeback.
But Instagram right there at Trisha Michelle _YT. Like I'm going to always say, fire session every Tuesday, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. YouTube, Instagram, fire session. Subscribe to us. That's where you can find me too, live and talking versus just a photo, And yeah, just that's some good information we got today. So
Yeah, that was dope.
Big
Raise.me. I had no idea what that was.
me either. Like that, I was
Yes.
like, ooh,
Scholarship.
jump on it, y'all. Don't be scared.
Financial aid. Yeah.
Big facts. Benji Banks, the man brand. Talk to the people.
Man, you know what it is, man. You know where you can find me. IGBRB4701. Shout out to Instagram for finally unassing me to be able to boost my marketing page. Listen, I've been fighting for this for God knows how long. So we finally got the approval. We finally can get to the space where we can boost our ads, market the page. The numbers are going up in terms of plays and all of that. So we're coming, y'all. Listen, we ain't done yet. Ken been putting this thing together and we've been making it happen, but we're going to continue to push the narrative, man. So y'all go like, subscribe, share. We're not giving y'all drama every week, talking about relationships every week. We're giving y'all some good stuff, man, that you can apply to your everyday life, especially if you're a grown man, grown woman out here. We're giving you information for your kids also.
Yep.
This information tonight was eye-opening because, again, as an adult, we don't know everything. So to kind of learn some of this new stuff that's that's new to us, old to some of you, but new information being put out there, man, we loving it. And that's what we want to give y'all. So I'm digging it. Follow us, go to the YouTube page, Fire Session, go subscribe. You'll get all the updates, all the information. We here for it.
Facts. Well, y'all already know y'all can find me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. Y'all can follow the Fiyah Session on all social media platforms. Just type in FIYAH Session on all social media platforms. Especially go to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you hit that bell so you can get the notifications when we have new content, new episodes posting. And we got a lot of new information coming your way, a lot of new interviews. So stay tuned. And if you have ideas and ideas for topics, ideas for people you would like to see interviewed on the show, hit us up. We accept those ideas, and we're very open to our audience. And inbox us. Don't inbox Trish Michelle if you're trying to holler at her.
Yeah,
so you're trying to get some information for
fellas,
the show.
just give it up, okay?
Yeah, stop it. You know what I'm saying? Stop.
We want you to like the photos and do all of that, but just give it up.
Don't pretend like you're trying to submit something for the Fiyah Session through me. Just go to the Fiyah Session for it. We'll get it. Don't worry.
Yes.
Facts. But
just give it up, brothers. It's okay. We it's all right though.
But y'all,
just hold this rejection L. You'll be all right.
But we appreciate y'all tuning in. We appreciate the information that we were given and we were able to give tonight. Tune in next week. We're gonna have a new episode, new guests.
Next week is gonna be crazy because I ain't gonna give them the information, but I ain't gonna give them the information. We'll shoot it out there. But it's gonna be next week's gonna be very interesting.
Follow us and find out.
Follow us and find out. That's the best way to do it. Follow us and find out so you can stay in the know and in the loop of the new topics and guests that we have coming on. So but we appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe. We love y'all. Y'all already know how we do it. It's the Fiyah Session. Peace.
Holla.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fiyah Session.